Okay. Hi, everybody. So I've been telling you a while now that I need to mend my husband's hoodie. This is the hoodie, and let me. This is the bleach. So sad. Anyway, I have been. I already started on it because, well, it's been a while since I've wanted to make that, and since I had the idea, and then um, well, I wanted to get started, but I didn't video the start of it. But it's basically the same way that I made the little moon shape on the rice bag that I made recently. I just put the shape together. Let me, you know what? Let me turn you around, and then I show you exactly what I mean. Okay, so hold on a second. All right, so the first thing I did was measure exactly how much needs to be covered on the jacket that it needs. Excuse all the cat hair. It was laying here on the chair for a while, and the cats like to sleep on things. Anyway, so I measured exactly how big this is and how much I would need to cover on this jacket. Then I made a paper template of the shape that I want. My husband is very much into skulls, so I made a skull shape, and I started glue basting. I glue basted this actually. I'm not fond of glue basting, but it really helped in the rice bag, which is where I tried it again just to see. It really helped get the shape together. So I glue basted all the fabrics that I then picked. I picked some fabrics and I put them all on the shape that I chose. And this is just some scrap paper that I had that I cut out. Um, and just to give me a rough shape. Um, so I glue basted all my fabrics on here and then started, cutting the rough shape around. I left a little bit of seam allowance all the way around, as you can see, and I glue basted them all onto here. Then the glue made them stick together a little, so I took them off and I found some paper just as a ground where I can sew it all on. I put it on here and I thread basted it all on there, and then I just started slow stitching some, all these pieces together so they don't flop around like this. I think I'm going to take this one back out. I'm not sure yet, but this is how far I've gotten. And now I just have to fill up the rest with some slow stitching, and then I can, let me put this back in here. Um, then I plan on cutting it out of the backing fabric to make it, closer to the actual shape that I want, because the brown is not going to be seen when it's done. So it's going to be like this, more or less. And then, let me get the jacket back in. Oh, this way around. And then it's going to go, take my T out of the way. It's going to go on here with, like I said, I'm going to cut the brown fabric off, and it will go on here like so. And I am not sure if I will clip these and do actually an applique, a needle turn applique to put it on there, which so far I think I like that idea to make it, a clean edge. Let me see if I can flick this under there. No, I can't. But I think that would look nice. So that's the plan for now. But right now we just need to put more um, slow stitching on there. Keep it all nice and together. All right, so let's do that. So along with the fabric, I also picked a few colors of embroidery thread to do the slow stitching with. So let's get going on this. All right, so I finished it and I pinned it on. I have a couple of different options to sew this on. I could either go around it by machine, or I can just put a running stitch around it to put it on there, or I could fold this over and do sort of a needlepoint applique, so I have neat edges and not the raw edges, or I could just do an overcast stitch to put it on. So that's the question now. I did cut the brown fabric a little shorter on the inside so that if I do the applique, it won't be quite as bulky. And I think I'm definitely going to sew it on by hand. Um, because I don't know. I don't know. I have to think about that. But it's on there now, and I'll have to make up my mind. Do I sew it on by hand or do I sew it on by machine? What do I do? I think I could just try appliquing it, and if I don't like it, I sew around it by machine. I just would like to have these edges a little bit more secured, so I either turn them under or I sew a zigzag stitch. That way they don't fray. These may still fray a little bit, but not not as badly because I have secured them with the other stitches. So let me try the applique. Let me go get some. This is not. I need some thread. Here, let's use the black thread because this is black. Usually when you do applique, with my scissors here, you try to get a thread that matches or is a little darker than the top fabric that you're sewing on, so that it disappears in the shadows. Where did my needle go? Oh, here. I'm just gonna use this one because, why not? At least it matches the bottom fabric. All right, let's see what we're gonna do with this. Ugh, nothing works today. Okay, let's see. When you pin it onto the hoodie, don't stretch the hoodie because that's jersey, that's knit fabric, and this is not. So this will stretch and this will not. And if you stretch the knit fabric underneath, then you will have all kinds of weird folds going out, like, once it's finished. So make sure you don't stretch this fabric. Okay, so what you would do is you turn your fabric under. Let me come up here first. So I have my needle where it needs to be. There we go. So you would turn this fabric under and you come up here just at the edge of the yeah, I was afraid of that. Leave enough. So you come up just a tiny little bite out of that fabric, and then you go, oh, I don't know if you can even see that. And then you go like this. Let me see if I can get a little closer. Oh, I think I'm running out of battery. See if I can show you at least one more stitch. And that's why you want it to match the top fabric rather than the bottom fabric. There we go. And what I do, I kind of go in just this side, just a little under the fabric that I'm trying to applique on, because that rolls it in nicely. I might change my thread, but I need to go back and get some thread, and I need to charge this anyway, so let me go do that. All right, I have finished appliquing it on. It's all on there now. I can go put it in the wash. It's fine. I was charging my phone while I was doing this, and then I realized that, oh, I'm done. And the phone wasn't really quite charged. So I'm doing this really quickly right now to show you what it looks like. When you go around a corner, you need to clip your fabric and then turn it under so that it turns under nicely and doesn't give you jagged edges. The steeper the curve, the more you have to clip. What else can I tell you? I turn it under. I have these small little applique pins. They're really, really tiny. I don't know if you can see them. They're really tiny. They are really, really great for applique because you can just turn it under and then pin it. For this, I didn't really use them that much because this is so stretchy fabric and it was really hard to hold it and not getting stuck. So I only had two that I sort of advanced with me, which is actually, if I'm honest, that's how I usually do it. I kind of pin everything down, and then just my applique pins. I only have like 2 that I like leapfrog around. What else can I tell you? Pin it all down really well before you start. On the corners, I like to put in 3 little stitches. Give yourself more seam allowance when you do this than I did, because it was really rough at some points, and you can kind of see. So more seam allowance than I did, at least like an 1/8 of an inch or more. Yeah, I would go usually a 1/4 of an inch. But that's me. Like I said, around the corners, I like to put 3 stitches in. 1 on this side, 1 in the corner, and 1 here. On the inside corners, just, you know, go around it. What else? I will make a better tutorial. I'm gonna do that tomorrow, actually, and I'm gonna put it on this video. I'm going to take a piece of fabric and I show you exactly with a larger needle, you know, so that you can really see it, how I do that, because I come up on the what's to be appliqued straight up, and I go straight back down right on the opposite end into the fabric that you applique to. So you come up and go right back down, quite close. I actually even sort of like underneath this applique piece, and then you go further to advance the needle. You go in this fabric over and then up, and you take a tiny bite out of the applique, and again just straight back down and then over, if that makes any sense. I'll see if I can make a little bit of a tutorial tomorrow with some larger needles so you can actually see what I'm doing. But hoodie mended, can be worn again. I'm so glad that's done. That took a while. So I do that tomorrow, and I hang it on here, and you know, but I probably won't talk much. So anyway, see you, Lynn. I hope this, you know, gave you some ideas for something you could do if you have a bleach stain or a larger hole in something. Just make something fun to go over it. See you later. Okay, let's say I wanted to applique this or this side onto here, okay, onto this white fabric. So what you would do first is mark where you want to applique, like your seam allowance, basically. Use a pencil or a fabric marker and mark your line. And then obviously you would cut out your shape, you know, I don't know, a bird, whatever, little flower, whatever you want to applique, and you would have your seam allowance marked. And then, if you can, what's really great is ironing this. So you would iron it over and give it a good press on said seam allowance, like so. Or you can finger press it. That's always really nice because it helps with the turning under. Okay, so iron it a little, or like I said, finger press it so that it's turned under, and then it would look like so, right? And then you put it on your piece of fabric where you want it to applique the shape that you have. And then you can take these little applique pins or just regular pins or whatever, and you pin it on. Yep. Like so. That's one example of how you do this. I'm pretty sure there are other methods out there. I don't know, but this works for me. So you pin it on so that it doesn't go anywhere. You don't want this to move, okay? Ideally, you would obviously have it lined out where you want to have it appliqued to. So you would have the space marked on your fabric, and obviously the seam allowance marked on your applique. And then you take a needle, usually a shorter one than this, like a little an applique needle. Personally, I just use whatever needle I have. I don't, you know. Anyway, so you start from under the applique. You start under here and come out there because you don't want your knot to be showing anywhere, okay? And then, let's see if I can get this as close as possible. Oh, let me get all the other, there we go. So it came out right here, and I'm going to go down right where it came out, right back down into the fabric. And I'm going to try to be just, see where the fold is, just under, just under that fold, just a little. I mean, don't go like, you know, down here, but when you hold it there with your thumb, like so, just go just under that fold, and then you move the needle forward under the, what's here, the white fabric for me. And then you come up again, just taking a tiny little bite out of that upper fabric, out of the applique. I don't know if you can see that. So there's my needle right now. So I came over about 1/8 of an inch, and then you pull it, and now you're out over here. Bismarck, be nice. And you would go straight back down right here. I don't know if you can see that. Into the white fabric, over about 1/8 of an inch, and up again. Whoops. Like so. Now, if you want to applique around a corner, instead of just folding it under, you would have to clip the fabric. Because, you know, you want to make it around the corner. The tighter the corner or curve, the more you have to clip it. So you would just make little snips as close to the line that you drew as possible without actually hitting that line. Let me put the needles back in so that it doesn't go anywhere. You can also, instead of folding it under, if you can't vacuum, if you can't iron it, you can also just fold it under with your needle as you go. That's why it's called needle turn, because you're turning it with your needle under, like so. Make sure it's all under there. And then again, you go, I don't know if you can see that, I go just under, like inside of the fold over of that, like so. And then over 1/8 of an inch, and just take the tiniest little bit out. Let me see if I can get a little closer. Yeah, there you go. So here's here's my thread coming out. You go in right here, and then over 1/8 of an inch, and just take a tiny little bite out of the fabric and come up. And that's what you do all the way around. It's super easy on a straight. If it's a curve, it's a little bit harder because you need to kind of watch out that your curve actually stays round. You know, just make sure that you turn it under as you go. Just take your needle, turn it under, and keep going. Just go straight in and over half an inch, 1/8 of an inch, and then this is what it should look like. You just take tiny bits out of the top fabric. I'm going to exaggerate the next stitch a little so that you can actually see. So you turn it under, and if you haven't pressed it, you can just finger press it like that as you go along the little segments. So I hold it with my thumb right here so that it doesn't go anywhere, and then you go straight under. Oh, you can't see anything, like straight down, right across from where you came out. So here's my stitch coming out. I go down just here, and I'm making sure that my stitch goes in, my needle goes in just a little this way off the, a little this way off the fold of the fabric. Go over about 1/8 of an inch and take a tiny bite out of the top fabric. And now you just go down, go over and out. So that's a little bit exaggerated. So it's pretty much straight across where you go under from where your thread came out. See? Straight across. It would go down, but of course closer. And then you go over about 1/8 of an inch and you come back out. Like so. If you go around a curve, make sure that you keep checking, lay it down once in a while and keep checking that your curve is still round. If you have to go around a corner, what I usually do is I fold this also, finger press it a little, like so, and then unfold it and I clip that corner a little so that there's less bulk, like this, so that there's less bulk, and then you can fold it back under. And I usually do 1 stitch here, 1 stitch here, and 1 stitch here, so that the corner is nice and put down. On an inside corner, I also try to put at least 3 stitches in, like 1 on the side that comes this way, 1 in the corner, and then 1 on the side that comes back out, if that makes any sense. So that's how I applique. I'm sure there's other ways out there that work for other people. This works for me. I usually have 2 of these little applique pins going at the same time. I pin one in when I finger press where I'm going. I fold it under and I pin it down, and then I go a little bit further. Once I get to where this pin is, I take it out and the second pin is still in here. I finger press a little further on, I put the pin in again, and so they just leapfrog each other. That works for me, but I'm pretty sure there's other methods and more professional methods than what I use out there. This is just what works for me. Maybe it'll work for you too. Try it out. Try out different methods. Play around on your own a little. You'll figure out what works for you. I have tried other tutorials that I just couldn't, they didn't make sense to me. They weren't bad tutorials. They just didn't make sense to me and the way I work. And once I played around with it myself a little, all of a sudden it clicked, and this is how it works for me, so this is how I'm doing it. But by all means, you know, watch some other tutorials and have a look and figure out what works for you, okay? But this is how I do applique, and I think it works. I mean, every now and then I get a bit larger stitch in it, but you know, I don't mind. And as for the thread, find one that matches your applique or is maybe a little darker, maybe a tone darker than your applique if you can't find a matching one, because at least it will kind of get lost in the shadow beyond the, you know, where your fabric is there. But it should always match the applique, not so much the bottom thread, if that makes sense. Okay? I hope that helps. Love y'all. See you next time with the... Oh, I have a tutorial coming up for some stuff. So I see you then. Bye.